Nick.
It's time for Westside.Technology Declassified, where we reveal the inner workings of technology operations in District 66. This is episode number 5, recorded April 27th, 2016. Matt Lee and Greg Betts are here with me again, and today we'll be giving the declassified scoop on the top secret midnight move of Area 66 to a new secure location, how to cheat at Twitter, Keynote tips and tricks, and a look into Greg's equipment bag. Dr. Lee and Dr. Betts, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
Yep, doing great, thank you.
So tell us, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, to get us started here, just kind of a couple announcements about Area 66 and the technology group. I'm sure as most people have kind of figured out, the CCC is going through a little bit of a transition right now, and our offices are currently being demolished and turned into an early childhood area. So we are no longer there. So we have made the move. Myself and Bridget and Eric Clark, kind of the technology integration group, have now moved to Underwood Hills, and Kim Nielsen, Lachlan, and Emerson have also moved out here for elementary tech support. So we've kind of done a wholesale move from the community conference center over to Underwood Hills. And Greg, I think you were going to talk about something else that's being moved over here to Underwood Hills.
Yes, we're pretty excited. The double room over there is going to be our professional learning space, and that will be set up after the CAPS program from the high school moves over to its new space over at the West Campus. And we're excited to get in there middle to the end of May and have our tables set up and new video equipment, and we'll be ready to go for some summer training starting probably end of May, beginning of June.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a really, really cool space. We'll be able to get in there and get it situated so that we can have some different flexible learning zones. We can kind of customize learning for staff and teachers as they come in, and we'll do. You said some of your teacher trainings. We'll also do some technology trainings in there, and pretty much just a lot of the staff development, professional learning pieces are going to be happening over there, right?
Oh, yes, man. I think what will be exciting is that you are right across the hallway, and we're going to be using some of your furniture that you had over at Area 66. So we'll be, those tables with the rollers and the chairs that move, and it's gonna be a really great setup.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be a good move for everybody.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think the next thing we wanted to talk about here was, we've had some announcements, some changes with merit pay in the district, and one of the options that was presented to teachers was Comfortute, which I think you might have talked about or will talk about here, Greg, but the other option for teachers this summer was some online training. Do you maybe just want to talk a little bit about what maybe one of those options were, and then I can talk about one of the other options for online training?
Sure. So Comfortute is a conference, fraternity, and institute that we are bringing to Omaha, Nebraska here at Westside, and we are working in conjunction with Dr. Joseph Renzulli out of the University of Connecticut. And so that will be happening June 1st and 2nd at Westside High School. And with that, through negotiations, you, as a staff member for us, you are able to attend 8 hours of Comfortute for merit pay. Or if that does not work out in your schedule, we wanted to make sure everyone had an opportunity for summer learning, and we will have some options online.
Yeah, and it's kind of the online ones I think are really interesting, because I don't know if we've ever done kind of self-paced, on-demand, online professional learning before at kind of this scale where we're really pushing it and opening it up for every certified staff member. I think just oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, we did a small pilot with the elementary teachers in February for our professional learning day using some using Blackboard and some of the videos and PowerPoints that we had put together that way. But you're right, as large scale like this with over 500 possible teachers wanting to learn online over the summer at their own place and their own pace, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I know I've been getting a couple questions like, what is this online training? What is it going to be over? I think just to give real broad strokes, we're still kind of finalizing some pieces, but I think it'd be safe to say we're going to have some training available through Blackboard that's going to focus on teaching and learning, where they can go and take some Westside developed courses there. But we're also going to be using lynda.com and having some technology focused ones. So maybe some of those things that, if you haven't been able to get to a tech training this year, or there's something you want to dig into deeper, maybe some of those basic skills that you just haven't had time to sit down during the school year and kind of master some of those applications that you really wish you learned how to use better, but you just haven't had time to do it. This will be a chance for you to go in and actually dig in and explore and become better acquainted with some of those basic applications and skills that lynda.com has available.
Yeah, I know Paul has a folder or a playlist called, I think, is it called Merit, Dr. Lindgren?
Well, I think we'll probably reconstruct that.
Reconstruct
the
it.
The original one, yeah, we'll create a new one that'll have. How many courses did we select? 8. Was that correct?
I think we had 8 or 9 plus some online trainings, and through your office, then we'll have that set up so people will know exactly what classes to choose.
So they'll just need to basically log into lynda.com, and then we will have that. That'll show up in their account as the courses that are available. And in order to get to lynda.com, for the people that haven't been in there before, there is a video, a tutorial on Area 66 that will show people how to do that. Is that not correct, Matt?
Yep, and I think as we get closer to the end of the school year, I think more information will be coming out about kind of step-by-step how to log into Lynda, how to access the playlist with those tutorials on it, and then I believe, Greg, your office then will have some sort of sign-up sheet or some sort of sheet to indicate to us what option teachers are doing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right, I think moving along through the agenda here, Paul, you had something kind of cool to you called it hacking Twitter. Is that right? Kind of telling us a little bit more?
Well, it's how to cheat at Twitter. One of the good things and the bad things about Twitter is that when you post something, you're limited to 140 characters, which really is why I like Twitter. It forces us with some constraints to really distill stuff down to an easily digestible part. But there's sometimes that you want to be able to say more, you want to show more than you can in 140 characters. So I'm going to show you a little tool this week, and then probably another tool the next episode, what I call how to cheat at Twitter and kind of cheat that 140 character limit. So,
Dr. Lindgren, is it more cheating or is it more leveraging Twitter?
Well, what we're doing is we're trying to overcome that 140 character constraint, kind of freeing ourselves from that so that we can communicate in even different ways as to what we usually do with Twitter. So,
there we go. Taking off the handcuffs.
Yes. So I'm going to switch over and see if I can get the screen sharing going here. You guys see my screen now? There we go. Okay, so this is a site called littlecardeditor.com. littlecardeditor.com. And it was created by a gentleman by the name of Dave Weiner, who is kind of a long-time figure in the history of technology. He was one of the first people that actually created the standard that we use for RSS podcasting, and he's a long-term familiar figure in history as far as the web, and he was one of the original bloggers, probably considered by many as one of the original bloggers. So he has created a utility called Little Card Editor, and first thing I'm going to do is going to sign on to my Twitter. I'm going to use my personal Twitter account here. And you can see that there's a prompt that comes up that says, authorize Little Card Editor to use your account. Now, one should not ever click on authorize an app in Twitter thoughtlessly, because there are times when you can click on a link in Twitter and this might come up and it might actually be somebody that's trying to hack your account. But this is a site that I know from a trusted source. It's a verified address. I purposefully went to this site, triggered this authorize, so I'm feeling comfortable with going ahead and authorizing this. Because what's going to happen is this is going to allow this particular application, this utility, to tweet directly from my Twitter account. Now, what Little Card Editor does is, if you've seen the inspirational posters that have a wonderful type of landscape picture and then some type of an inspirational phrase written on top of it, that's kind of what Little Card Editor will do. So what you'll simply do is, I'm going to grab an image from my computer and I'm going to just drop it onto this big drop place. And this is one of my favorite images, taken up past Duluth, Minnesota, of this neat Split Rock Lighthouse by Duluth. And so I've got that picture there, and then I'm going to type something up above here like Westside Rocks. Okay? And obviously that's kind of in a dark position. So what we can do is actually do some card options. And I'm going to have it instead go to the top. Maybe center. I tried it a couple different places there. There we go. That's a good place for it. So you can adjust that with those settings. I can change the font size, the line height. There's all kinds of things in here that you guys can play around with. Now in this particular case, I'm not putting a huge amount of text on, but I would be able to put more than 140 characters here if I felt that that was appropriate. So that's one way that we can actually get around the 140 character limit. And then when we're ready, somewhere along here, is out right underneath the picture is post this card. And it says it's in the process of posting to Twitter. And it should be posted. So that's all I'm going to take the time that I'm going to take right now, but that's the main thing. You need to log in your Twitter account from this site, pick a picture, put on your text, post this card, and you have a way to put words on top of graphics that are really easy to see. So
very cool. I think you could definitely use that in some different ways, sharing some pictures out instead of having to open up a separate, photo editor or Photoshop, something like that. You could just go in and be able to add that text right on top of it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Very cool.
So Matt, you've had a good year so far with Emerge, but with the natural change of things, of people coming and going, you're going to lose some of your Emerge members. So you want to talk a little bit about the recruitment process, I guess.
Oh yeah. So due to just some people kind of moving out of state and kind of going away, we've had a couple openings in our elementary technology group called Emerge, and I just wanted to draw your attention here. We're opening up the application period again, and I just want to encourage people to apply. So we do have a few openings for 2016-2017. The applications are open now, and they'll stay open through May 10th, so about a week and a half or so from now, and then we'll let people know by the 17th. If you just go for more information, if you go to area66.westside66.org, and then on the front screen, if you click Emerge and then click the Emerge logo, the application instructions will be here. If you've ever wondered what the expectations for an Emerge member are, you can click on the link and see what those expectations will be. and then this also has a link to the application instructions itself. And so applications are due May 10th, and I would strongly encourage, if you want to become more involved in your building, do more with tech integration, have access to some really great, personalized, peer-developed professional learning opportunities. I think it's just an awesome program, and I would encourage teachers. We're looking really for some of those primary grades, to maybe take a look at that and see if they want to throw in their hat, and I think it'd just be a great program.
So this isn't really for secondary, correct?
No, at this time we're just looking for elementary teachers. Hopefully, maybe in the future we'll be able to expand it out to the secondary level, but for right now we're just starting with elementary.
Okay.
I think next up, Greg, you have kind of a cool gig going. You're doing a lot of videotaping, both kind of your trainings and professional learning opportunities and also some other areas, and you've kind of, from what I've seen, established a pretty cool rig that you use, and we've shared some parts of it, but I don't think we've ever showed the whole thing to everybody. Do you want to maybe take a moment and kind of share with us how you capture trainings?
Well, first of all, this all started back in the day with an iPad and a used bookend shelf that I mounted onto a tripod, so I feel like that I have evolved since those days. So first, I'll start off with just your basic tripod. Now, I have since moved to a larger tripod, but I also have one not here with me today that it's about this tall, as you can see here, and it fits perfectly on a table, especially in elementary classrooms, because sometimes a tripod can be very overwhelming in a classroom. Next, I have this iographer case, and as you can see here, it comes with an option for 2 different lenses that I have to put on there if I want to do macro or micro. In addition, I have what they call a shotgun mic from Rode, and it's pretty easy. It plugs right in, and away you go. But something to note with Apple, any Apple product, let me put this over here, as you can see, if it'll focus on there, come on, focus. There's 3 black lines on there, and so with any device you're doing with recording to make it work correctly, you need to have on here, it's not showing up very good, but 3 different black lines, and that will enable your iPhone or your port for sound on your headphone jack to also be used as a microphone.
That's a really good tip. I think people get caught up a couple times. They buy a microphone and then they can't figure out why it's not working, but it's the different lines that they have to have on it.
Oh yeah, I was one of those people like, why is this not working? And I was extremely frustrated, and you know what? It was 3 lines, as you can see, like on this one here, it only has 2. So this is a wireless mic set up by Pile. Now these can be pretty expensive. I think we picked these up for like 12 bucks, which was pretty handy. But here would be an example of an adapter, and as you can see, it has the 3 lines. With any Apple product, you want the 3 lines, and then all you do is you adapt in, plug in, and then you have your wireless lapel mic. So we have pretty good setup, pretty inexpensive overall. Just watch your sales. Amazon's always a good place to go to. And last but not least, in some of those lighting situations, as you can see, it's kind of blinding there. This is from Newer. Really, really nice light. Some of the times when you're doing a sit-down session with the person doing an interview, you want just a little bit more lighting.
Yeah, and I would throw out there too, you had mentioned one of the tabletop tripods.
Yes.
Here's what it looks like.
Oh, there you got one. Perfect.
Yeah, so this is really handy because a lot of times, the tripod you showed was just huge, right? You set it on the floor, it stands, 5 feet up. Sometimes you don't need that, but this one, it's adjustable. So if you need it a little bit taller, it'll go up to maybe, 1.5 feet, 2 foot tall. But otherwise, if you want it smaller, you can, but you still get all of the advantages of a tripod where you can zoom, pan and tilt and move up and down, and you can just, mount your iPod or your phone right on top of that. So I think you recommended this one to me, and it is wonderful. It even comes with a little tiny carrying case So you can just carry that little tripod around.
Yeah, that tabletop tripod is extremely handy. I can think of a time being in a second grade classroom where I was, down around kids, and I was able to set it up on the floor, and it was not distracting, as compared to this your full scale tripod setup.
Very cool. Very cool. I think the last thing I wanted to show is, as people are doing more and more, telling their story, doing more presentations, Keynote is a tool that I think is just far and away the best presentation software out there. And there's just been a few little things that, I've done in some of the presentations that I've made that people go, whoa, how'd you do that? And it turns out it's really, really simple, but really, really powerful. So I'm just going to show you two kind of quick hits that'll kind of level up your presentation without a whole lot of work. And that's Instant Alpha and Magic Move. So let me...
Ooh, you're pulling a rabbit out of a hat? Magic Move?
It's pretty darn close. It's pretty cool.
Yeah?
So I want to show you first here Instant Alpha and talk a little bit about what Instant Alpha is. So alpha is kind of the transparency channel in an image. And so if we take maybe this image here of kind of handing off, that's a really cool picture, but sometimes I don't want that blue background with those hands handing off the baton. If I'm doing a presentation and maybe I just want to have the hands showing, but I don't want to have that blue background, Keynote makes it super simple to get rid of that and only show the hands. And so let me show you how to do that. You'll notice that my toolbar up here doesn't have anything that says Instant Alpha. You can find it in the menus, but I find it better if I can have it positioned on the menu. So to customize it, I'm going to hold down the Control key, and then I'm going to click the menu bar, and I'm going to go to Customize Toolbar. And once I do that, now I get the option to add some different things to my toolbar. So I'm going to find the one here that says Instant Alpha.
That in and of itself I didn't know you could do.
Oh yeah, so yeah, customize the toolbar, and then you can drag any of these tools up into your toolbar there. So if you wanted to have a quick way to turn guides on and off, or a quick way to mask or crop an image, or just an image.
I think you actually earned your paycheck for this hour.
Woohoo! I did it.
Hey Matt, where was that again? What did you click on?
If you want to do any kind of customizations, if you just hold down the Control key and click anywhere in the title bar, you can come in here to Customize Toolbar.
Very cool.
So I guess we'll do 3 tips today. So that will be tip number 1. Tip number 2, the Instant Alpha. Now that we have it, if I click on the image and I come up here and I click on Alpha, now I get a little dialog that says, click a color to make it transparent. So I'm going to come down here, and my cursor changes to this kind of loop box where it zooms in. And so you can see as I come over the bar there, it kind of zooms in and I can see where my mouse is. If I click and hold down the mouse button, and I kind of drag my mouse, it's slowly expanding out what it sees as that blue color. And when I let go and hit enter, now it's cut out all of that blue around the image, and I'm left with nothing but those hands and the baton. So now if I want to keep my black background, I can keep my black background, and I have those hands there, and I can adjust those to take up the whole screen and have a different color background with it. And so it doesn't have to be just blue. If I have this guy here, and that's kind of a nice gray background, but I want him to blend in, I can click him, click Alpha, drag that, hit enter, and now I got the background out, and I only have the blue guy with the black background. So that's tip number 2, is the Instant Alpha. Tip number 3.
Matt, can I ask you, just to make sure, what version of Keynote are you using? Because we may have some people that still have older versions. Should all these things work in the older versions as well?
Yep, the Instant Alpha will work in pretty much any version of Keynote, and it'll actually work in Pages as well. So if you're doing anything in Pages, you can knock out the backgrounds using the Instant Alpha tool.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Now this next one.
Sorry to keep interrupting.
Oh no, that's a good point. So we do have people at different versions of Keynote. The next thing I wanted to show you was what's called the magic move, and I think this is one that came maybe a version or two ago. So if you have a really old version, it might not be in there. You might need to upgrade your Keynote in order to get it. But one of the things that I found is really handy is if you take a graphic, say our strategic plan, our house document, and there's a part of it that you want to zoom in on. You can use lots of animation tools and make it bigger, scale it. But if I don't have a lot of time, there's a transition called Magic Move that lets you go through, and it'll actually calculate the differences between two slides and add the transition points in between those two. So you could use it to move objects from one part of the screen to the other, or like I just showed you, have an object there and have it zoom in and enlarge on it. And so I'm going to hop out and I'm going to show you how I did this here. So if I have an object, say this man, and so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of the background here on him, so I just have the white guy. And say I want to have him go from being in this corner to being really large over here. I put him on my first slide. I take him and I copy him, and I go to the second slide and I paste him. So that's one of the keys, is it has to be the exact same object. So I found the
Matt,
best way.
Could you actually duplicate that slide at that
You
point
could.
instead? Would that work?
Yeah, that would work. If you wanted to duplicate the slide, that would work. Also, copying the object works as well.
Okay.
And so now that I'm on my second slide, I can take him, I can make him bigger, and I'll center him. So now I have two slides, one with him down in the bottom left corner and one with him in the middle. If I highlight these two slides and come up to the top right where it says Animate, and it says Add an Effect, and I come down here to Magic Move, and I click on that, you can see a preview of what happens there. So let me go ahead and hit play and show you. So now I hit next slide. It found where he started from, where he ended from, and it showed the transition in between those two areas. And you have some customization options over here, how long you want it to last, do you want it to speed up and slow down, all sorts of things there. But the key is the same object, two different slides, and then select Animate and Magic Move. So if I show you that example that I did earlier, this was a PDF document that I put in. I duplicated the slide or copy and pasted the slide and put it here. And if you notice, all I did was make it really, really big. So I kind of positioned it where I wanted to. Made it big, and if we want to just look at the top here, I selected those two slides, did Animate, chose Magic Move, and now when I transition, it's going to zoom in on where I left it. So I mean, those were three kind of simple things, but I think when you add them in, it helps you tell your story. So like when I was talking about that house document here, being able to go in and zoom in on different parts of it allows me to talk about those parts. Or if I'm using that guy to move him from different areas to different areas, it just kind of gives you some more tools in your toolbox, if you will, that really doesn't take much time at all. It's just adding those two elements and clicking Move in between them.
Very, very cool.
I think so. I enjoy it.
Okay, so we've done a lot already today. You guys have moved. Everybody knows that they send mail to the integration team and the elementary tech team. Mail should go to Underwood, right?
Yep.
And we have some more information about Merit Pay coming down the road. There's some cool ways that you can add some graphics and text to easily tweet that out. We need some Emerge members, so look for information about that. Greg had some great recording tools for us, and then some great Keynote tools. Anything else before we close up, guys?
I think that's good.
Greg, anything else? Maybe we lost him.
Yeah, I think we lost Greg.
Yeah, we're still. Yeah, he just stepped in the office through my door, so I think.
Well, that's okay. I think we've got a pretty full.
Oh, there he goes.
Episode
officially. Okay. Thanks a lot for joining in episode 5 here of Westside Technology Declassified, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. See ya.